Tuomas, with 5 seconds left, you had the 5-second violation. Can you just take us through what happened there? Were you trying to get the ball to Desmond Bain as he was kind of flaring to the corner? Just what was your insight on what happened?
Yeah, Desmond was the first option on that. There was a small window for that. I think Jimmy Butler made a small defensive error. Looney was on top of it. Did a good job right there. There's a small window, but it's difficult because you can see Butler hesitating for a second there, and that was the window for to throw the pass. We didn't, and after this, they were in perfect position to take out the second options out of that. So,
how did you guys get back into the game in the second half?
I mean, I would like to say sheer will, but it's much more than that. Guys were really competing. We had a very good halftime talk with the guys where it's basically the basic idea was that we have more to give. We have more to give, and we got to do it, and it starts with everybody out there on the floor, and we gave them the lead. We felt like we gave them the lead, and then we worked ourselves back into the game, and unfortunately, it's been the story that we play a hell of a game and then are unable to close it.
After losing another game in a way that's going to hurt, and then having to come back on Friday, I guess is that going to be hard to pick yourself up out off the mat for something like that?
Of course, it's hard, Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. But it's our job, and I've always thought in these situations, learned this as a younger player, that there's nothing we can do to change this result anymore. So all we can do is try to learn from this and then apply it to the game 2 days from now. That's all we can do.
Coach, right here, a couple of interesting aspects to your defense in this game. One, you put Zach Edey guarding Jimmy Butler quite a bit. The other one, you just put Scottie Pippen Jr. on stuff, no switching, nothing like that. Can you take me through the reasoning behind those decisions, how you thought those went?
Yeah, so the matchups in the starting unit, for example, with Jaren and Zach, we decided to cross-match for a couple of reasons there. First one being that they also matched up this way, and we felt like it was better for our transition defense to be able to maintain those matchups. Other one, Butler has not been a very effective three-point shooter this season. He had 4 pull-up threes before this season made. And we wanted to also keep Jaren out of foul trouble, which Butler does excellently, and to have Zach patrol the paint and wall off all the drives while still maintaining pass pressure on Draymond Green's playmaking, which was something that picked us off and really caused us issues because he's much more of a passing hub than Butler in this situation where he's more of a cutter. So that was the main reasoning. We went back and forth as always, and also changed it up during the game. But I thought it was our reasoning and motives behind it were very solid.
Right, Coach. What were the conversations like with Ja after he turned his ankle, and what was it like just seeing him trying to gut through it in the fourth quarter?
No, there was no conversation. It was a monologue. He told me that he's good to go.
And what was it like just seeing him trying to play through it in the fourth quarter?
I mean, seeing him like in that situation was, to me, I'm of that generation that still remembers Isaiah Thomas hopping around on one ankle. It wasn't quite that, but hopefully it's not as severe. I have no information on that, but it was inspiring, and I think it also lifted the guys up that to see that your leader, is putting it all on the line there.
What did you make of the way Zach played overall in the game?
I have to see the film, but generally, when I look at it, somehow he always ends up in the plus. He's very important for us. He solidifies the defensive rebound, and we've spoken about this several times, that his impact is also not always the most obvious one. It's the opponent tends to offensive rebound much better when he's off the floor, and offensively we got ourselves a lot of extra shot opportunities through his 7 offensive rebounds today. And I think the situations where he still has room to grow, those are things that will come through age, recognizing or rather handling than recognizing double teams, for example, and the quickness of the decision making. But he's on a really, really positive trajectory also on that.
And how important was Desmond's shot making in the second half, especially with Ja, hurting?
I mean, Dez's shot making is always important, and he's somebody I really like. I watched that situation, the last situation. We really wanted to get the ball in his hands, knowing that they're gonna try to switch those, pre-switch the matchups before the ball gets inbounded. But it's he's a very, very good offensive player, and when he starts making shots like that, we are very difficult to stop, and that was a big part why we made our run.
When you lose a game where you might have had a chance to get a game-tying shot up, how much does that eat at you as a coach, or is that something that you just have to put away quickly?
Yeah, it always eats. There are other things that eat you up more. I think those in this day and age, they're like it's easy to pinpoint those situations that, okay, here this happened, but I mean the game is 200 possessions, 100 going the other way, 100. There's a lot of stuff on the margins that you can do better, and I've always believed that you need to be really good at the things that happen the most often, and late game X's and O's, they're important. They are very magnified, especially in the NBA environment, but it's not the situation that happens most often, but it's very glaring when it does happen. So you have to find a balance also as a coach, like how much time do you invest in things that might make you look bad, but are not maybe moving the needle in the big picture, So those are things that come with this. It's part of the zeitgeist. Thank you.
That level of Sunday, but was it more like a gutsy game for your guys? Kind of just one they just had to just grind it out there at the end?
Yeah, it was, it's a playoff game, even though, it disappears into the ether, as we all know. There's no record of it, but it's a playoff game. And, I tried to downplay it a little bit before the game, but we desperately needed to win this game and get 4 days. Our guys have been basically playing knockout games for about 3 weeks, and one high-level game after another. And so to get this one, took 83 games, but we're right where we want to be, which is back in the playoffs, and we've got a chance. But maybe most importantly, we get the time to rest and prepare, because these guys need that desperately right now.
Were you surprised how much they were kind of sagging off Jimmy?
No, I mean they started Zach Edey on Jimmy, and we kind of anticipated that, and I understand the philosophy, but Jimmy is so good and so crafty that even if you're not up on him, even if you give him 10 feet of space, he knows how to draw fouls. And what did he get? 18 shots from the foul line. That's just who Jimmy is. He controls games. That's why he is who he is. He's able to, in these big moments, these big games, he just settles you down constantly.
Could you sense that he knew early if they were going to, if that was the scheme they were going to use, he was going to need to kind of.
If that was,
If that was the scheme they were going to use, that he would need to kind of down the score.
I mean, we talked about it at shoot around this morning. We anticipated that matchup, and he just told me, I don't care who guards me, just give me space, give me the ball, I'll make something happen. And that's the beauty of Jimmy. I mean, you guys can see it. Like we have morphed into a different team. We've got the movement and the flow of Steph, but we've also become, for half the game, a great ISO team. We've never been an ISO team here, and there's great advantage to that. To be able to get to the line, to be able to generate offense without, having to fly around and set a million screens. So Jimmy has completely changed everything for us since he's been here, and tonight was a great example of that.
Tonight in the non-Steph minutes, you talk about flying around and getting offense going. You saw your role players getting so many 50-50 balls and getting you guys extra opportunities. When you think about trying to incorporate them. What was the message to those guys, Moses Moody, Quentin Post, all the guys coming off the bench to incorporate themselves into the game? What was important for them to do?
We talked about it at shoot-around this morning. The whole point of the game was to win the battles, just to win every loose ball, every rebound. This is a big, strong team, great rebounding team. And you saw it happened a few times because they got 16 offensive boards. Edey had 7 himself. When they get an offensive board and they're kicking it out to Jaren Jackson or Desmond Bain, I mean, it's a wide open 3. And so the focus was really on, scrapping and getting to every loose ball. I thought the guys really fought hard. Guy only played, 6 minutes, but, 3 rebounds. He was flying around out there. Every possession matters, and I thought our guys played that way.
Against a big team like Houston that you're about to play, how valuable is it, Jimmy's skill set, to be able to guard guys who are 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot?
Yeah, I mean, he's the ultimate two-way player. He's just, so physically strong and laterally quick, and he anticipates things, he reads things. So Jimmy's a great defensive player. He and Draymond behind the play allow us to, play smaller without giving up too much.
You obviously are compelled to put Gary in because of his defense to shadow Ja, but he obviously contributed a lot offensively. What about this matchup? And some of his baskets seemed like just smart cuts. And to go along with that, Quentin obviously was a factor off the bench. Just the impact those two made.
Gary, helped us win a championship. We don't win that championship in 22 without Gary. So he's a big-time player, playoff performer, two-way player, understands how to play with Steph, that probably as well as anybody on our team. And he's basically a power forward on offense and a point guard on defense. Very unique player, but hugely effective over and over again for us in these big games. So Gary was great, and then I thought Quentin's 3 threes in the first half were crucial for us. Just, the way Memphis guards us, they've always hounded Steph and sagged off of, our big guys. And so the ability to put Quentin out there, space the floor, have him knock down threes, it opened up the game for us.
Coach, your Harvard shirt, I'm curious to know if that has anything to do with what's going on politically right now, or if you just happen to reach for that.
Something going on? Tommy Amaker's a friend of mine, Harvard coach, and he sent me the shirt. Actually, we practiced there in Boston in November. He gave me the shirt and felt like a great day to wear it. I believe in academic freedom. I think it's crucial for all of our institutions to be able to handle their own business the way they want to, and they should not be shaken down and told what to teach, what to say by our government. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it's kind of par for the course right now. So, yes, this is me supporting Harvard. Way to go, way to stand up to the bully. Thank you.
Steve, real quick,
Yeah.
you were right up close, not too far from that. How'd you guys pull that off? I mean,
The guys did a great job of just pre-switching everything, and we knew they needed a 3, so we stayed outside the three-point line. And I thought we were able to just take away the play that they were trying to run, just with the switching, and the guys did a great job of it, and that led to the 5-second goal.
Thank you.
Quickly, Steve, you mentioned the importance of these next few days. Over here on.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. How do you balance the rest and recovery against preparing for the next series, and what do these next 4 days look like for you?
This is what we do. I mean, this is so fun. It's the best time of the year. This is year 11. My favorite day of the season is tomorrow. We come in as a staff. We look at Houston tape. We start to put together our game plan. The players are resting. We got a couple of days before we'll see the players again. We get to go to work and try to beat a great team in a 7-game series. There's nothing better, and so I can't wait.
Steve, you have played with and coached some of the most clutch postseason performers in the history of the game. what do they share, and what does Jimmy share with them from what you're seeing in your one postseason time with him so far?
Fearlessness, I think, is the main thing. I mean, I told Steph after the game, like, what makes him who he is even on a night where he's not really going, he's struggling to make shots, and he makes, the two biggest shots of the game. That doesn't just come from skill. That comes from fortitude and fearlessness and incredible self-belief. Jimmy possesses the same thing. Draymond, too, in a different ways, not so much in an offensive way, but just in a winning way. And that's why I believe in our team so much. We've got several guys, on this team, Loon included, who's been here for a long time. They've won titles. And that guy's, taken his teams to the finals a couple times. Like, we got winners in this locker room. And it's time for Jimmy to talk. We'll talk to you later.
Did it? It sounds like you guys knew that Edie would probably guard you, but did it surprise you that not only was he guarding you, but he was giving you a lot of room?
Nope. We talked about it, and it's always play basketball the right way, shoot the ball when you're open, attack, get into the paint, get to the free throw line, and pass it to the open guy. So no matter who's guarding me, I'm always going to play the exact same way.
Did you figure that scheme, though, would lead to, you getting to the rim a lot and, scoring as much as you did?
Yes and no. I feel like I have the opportunity here to pick my spots incredibly well, and they're always looking to get me the ball in my spots where I can be aggressive and put the ball in the basket or make the right play for the next individual. So we ran a couple sets for me to do that, and then Steph did all the other stuff.
How did you decide, early you took a couple of those threes when they were way off, and then you kind of just started going to the rim regardless. Like, how do you decide when to keep shooting the threes or when to just kind of power through?
I can shoot. I just choose not to shoot threes. I'd rather drive into the paint, get me a layup, a midi, or pass the ball to somebody that's probably a much better shooter than I am. I think probably you and everybody else want me to shoot more threes, but I like shooting some layups.
Jimmy, throughout the season, you said that you will take what the defense is giving you in terms of shooting and being aggressive offensively. You've had 20 attempts in each of the last two games. What have you seen on the floor that has warranted that?
That we may need me to score a little bit more right now, but it could change come when we play Sunday, something like that. If I can get 17 assists and we win, that's great. If I can get 10 steals or 2 steals and we win, that's great. But I think me scoring a little bit more has definitely helped us a little bit.
Jimmy, what personally bothers you more, turnovers or missed free throws?
Turnovers. I hate turning the ball over. Free throws, but turnovers really irk me.
What do you think you can take from this game, especially going against somebody like Edie compared to going against Houston with their defense and someone like an Amen Thompson?
Not much. We'll go back to the drawing board and see how I can be effective on the offensive side of the ball. But I really believe I can score with the best of them. I don't care who I'm lined up against.
Jimmy, even before you got here, the conversation was, get Steph to play meaningful basketball again. He wants to play meaningful basketball, and you've certainly underlined that ever since you've been here. How is there satisfaction? Relief might be the wrong word. Obviously, you've got games to play, but to get Steph, to get this team back into a meaningful position again, what does that feel like?
It feels great. I want everybody to be happy. For sure, Steph, he deserves it. What he's done for, the game of basketball, not only this city and this organization. He's in it for the long haul. He wants to win. He wants to win every single game, every single possession. And I know I want to win a championship, so he needs his, this would be number 5 for him, so he needs one more.
Could you sense that from him today?
Yeah. Every game, for me, though, he's always, it's like I always say, you're never really out of any game when you have him on your team. And if you have a lead of 5, he can easily take your lead to 15 to 17, maybe even 20 all by himself. So I'm glad that he's on my team.
Jimmy, you weren't just guarded by Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson, all the big guys. You also had to guard them. How much do you enjoy going up against the 7-footers, the really big dudes down the paint?
Not a lot.
Not a lot. Not a lot.
That's Draymond's job. That's the defensive player of the year. I'm not the defensive player of the year, so Draymond needs to be able to guard the 5, the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1. I just need to be able to guard like 2s and 3s.
Jimmy over here. You've obviously played in the league a long time. Have you ever seen anybody like Gary Payton II? Steve described him as a power forward on offense at 6'2", and a point guard on defense. And what kind of difference did he make tonight, and can he make going forward?
He's going to be a reason that we win a couple games in the playoffs. But what I love most about GP is he makes sure everybody's calm. You know, he lets everybody know, yeah, we're going to be just fine. We just got to get a stop. We got to get a bucket. We got to execute. He'll take and make some big shots for sure, get a big-time dunk and get the crowd into the game, and then guard whoever you ask him to guard. But more than anything, he's poised, he's calm, and it's like he's been in this league 15, 16 years.
Hey, Jimmy, it's no secret what these next few days mean for you guys to get some time off. What does the next 4 days look like for you until Sunday?
Rest and recovery, a lot of free throws, a lot of dominoes and coffee. A lot of dominoes, coffee, and free throws.
Jimmy, you had obviously a lot of drama this season. This team, the Warriors didn't think they would be in the playoffs. You didn't know if you'd be in the playoffs. Just now that you didn't?
I did.
You knew?
Yeah.
Well, just now that it's happened, just what's the moment like for you? Is it different than other experiences with different teams?
For sure. But, you know, whenever I talked to Steph and Dre and Steve and Mike before I even got here, I was telling them I can help. Now, I don't know in what manner that I can help, but we're going to make the playoffs. I feel like I can give any team, for sure this one, a chance to win. And they believe it, I believe it, and that's all that you can ask for. Now we just got to go out there, execute, play our tails off, and win some more basketball games.
To follow on Draymond for a second, what you said, obviously he's been centering lineups here for a really long time. What are some of the nuances that you've noticed since playing with him in some of those smaller lineups that make him so effective at the center spot?
That he be knowing everything on both sides of the ball, but specifically on defense, he'll switch a matchup quick so he can get the switch and get back to the person he's supposed to be guarding. He's calling out plays, you know what I mean, depending upon where somebody is on the floor. Helps me a ton, but not only does he help me, he helps everybody. He's always in the right position. He's always probably out of position a lot of the times because we're not doing our job, and he's trying to cover up for everybody. And I don't care what anybody says. If that's not the defensive player of the year for you, I don't know what to tell you what is.
Jimmy, you had a stretch in the first quarter where 4 straight possessions. You had a 3-point play, a 3-point shot yourself, and then hit Quentin for a 3 and assisted on Gary's dunk. Then also in the third, midway through, you had a steal and a dunk that when they were on a bit of a roll. Do you sense when you can sort of alter momentum in a game or when you do something or have a sequence like that where it really changes things?
I really don't be paying attention to it. On the offensive side of the ball, I think it's deflating whenever I hit a 3 because everybody thinks that I can't shoot. Love it. Keep backing off. On the defensive side of the ball, I probably get in trouble more often than not because I'm a gambling man and I'm going to go for the steal 10 out of 10 times. So I know if I get it, I'm going to get a layup or I get to get somebody else a layup or an open 3. I don't feel the shift or anything like that, but it feels good to score.
That loss to the Rockets recently was, probably one of your guys' collective worst games in this stretch. What do you kind of remember from that game? What didn't work?
Turnovers. Yeah. We turn the ball over a lot. Can't win whenever they get so many more possessions than we do. We take care of the ball, I think we'll be in a good spot.
What about their, I guess, team construction is difficult to score against?
I think if we were about us, we'll be just fine.
Jimmy, you let out a few screams after scoring, getting fouled, and I think at one point you kind of shouted some stuff out looking like maybe.
You want me to
Georgia fans.
tell you what I said?
Yes.
Nah, they're going to find me.
Well, what were you feeling, I guess, in those moments?
It's winning time. Out of anything else, my squad needed me to help win, do whatever it took. And we did that as a collective unit. I did a little bit. Steph did majority of it. Draymond guarded everybody, and everybody else hit some big shots, made some big plays. Team really has a chance, and we're going to run with that.
I was going to say, and as someone who's used to making long runs in the playoffs, and you guys have had to make this run just to get to the playoffs, how do you feel about this group and what you guys are capable of doing?
Shit, I mean, hell. I think any team has a chance when I'm on the team, but I know that every team has a chance if Steph's on the team. So I get to play Robin. That's my Batman, and I don't know who else is. We got all the villains over there, Two-Face and Joker and Riddler, everybody else in the Western Conference. But we got a lot of games to win.
Thank you.
Peace.
Hey, Gary, you've got 4 days off coming up. How big is it,
Oh, it's
first
great.
of all?
Oh, my
And
goodness. We're going to need all 4 of those days. Get everybody back to full health, lock in, go over the game plan. It's going to be a good, productive 4 days for sure.
Do you have any plans personally for how to use the 4 days?
No, not really. Just get my body right. Probably go on a couple walks and, watch some film.
Gary, what about the matchup with Memphis and their defense allowed, it seemed like you found found seams, a couple cuts. And to go along with that, how much in this setting, in the playoff setting, Steve was talking about how much of a factor you were in 22. How much do you relish this big game sort of setting?
Oh, no, this is time, We lead up all year to get to this moment, and I'm more of a playoff guy, I think Steve would say. So when it's that time, that year, lock in and get it right and try to be as efficient as I can. I know how they're going to play me, who they're going to put on me, so just try to, like you said, create seams and get to the openings.
Gary, obviously today was a play-in game, big performance from Jimmy. What does the playoff Jimmy nickname mean to you?
Jimmy Buckets. Give him the ball, go where he tells you to go, and sit and wait until Jimmy needs help, or he's going to score or get fouled. So it's great to see. Talk to him a lot while I'm in the game, see what he likes, see what he doesn't like, see who he wants to bring in or whoever he wants to match up for. So just to watch him and then feed off what he does is great.
What have you seen as far as the way he's able to assess what the game's calling for? It seems like he's aggressive when he needs to be, passes when he needs to be. How do you see his mind working in real time?
Give him the ball, watch. He's going to direct just like 2-3 does, and, they'll put you in the right spot and, just go make plays.
All right, you're off the hot.
Oh, that's great. Draymond, you go ahead.
Draymond, just getting to this point now, you've been talking about get in the playoffs. This was a play-in game, but is it a sense of relief? And, we'd heard so much about, Steph want to play meaningful games. What's the sense that you got, this team now is in the playoffs?
I wouldn't necessarily say a sense of relief. Our goal is to get to the playoffs so we can make something special happen. It's not necessarily just to get there and the job's done. We know what it takes to win at a high level, so that's the focus. But, yeah, the goal is to get to the playoffs and win, so it's good to be here.
Draymond, what's the immediate mindset shift to going to Houston now? What is it going to take after your guys' previous loss against the Rockets?
We just got to take care of the ball. We take care of the ball. Allows us to get our defense set, make them play in the half court. But it starts with, our offense got to help our defense.
You've seen what he's done in the past. I just asked Gary about it. What does the nickname Playoff Jimmy mean to you, though?
Yeah, he's different. He's different. You can just see a whole different intensity level and focus. And, we've I'm a basketball fan, so I've watched it on TV for years. To see it up close and personal, like it's a real thing. Sometimes you get in the NBA and like these guys come get these nicknames and you're like, man, stop it. Like, there's some other nicknames out there, they not real. That one's real, and I'm happy he on our side.
Draymond, last game you said that everybody needed to step up, which obviously they did, and you've been completely vocal, and people obviously look to you for leadership. So did you have any type of talks with anybody on the team to say, like, how important this game was?
You have a couple sidebar conversations with guys that you see fit with. I think it's more so pouring confidence in more than anything. We have an interesting balance. We have a lot of experience and then kind of none at all, and so I think most importantly is reassuring our young guys that it's the same game. The moment gets bigger, the game don't change. And, a lot of them has never been in this position before. So just, really make sure you're reinstilling that confidence in them.
Hey, Draymond. How do you balance rest and recovery over these next 4 days with preparing for Houston in the next series?
We're a pretty veteran team. You kind of know what it takes to get your body ready to go. The positive is you don't have to have your body ready to go to Sunday. And I trust that everybody will know what it is that they need and be professionals and get it done.
Draymond, you just said you're a fan. Is this team, are you guys a team that people like to watch? Is this like America's team? It seems like you put on a show,
Steph Curry played here. It's the greatest show on hardwood over the last 10 years. So, yeah, I think so. I know I like watching Steph play, and I'm kind of a basketball purist, so I know the rest of the world got to really appreciate it. But, yeah, I think there's no surprise. Steph Curry's been the best show in basketball for the last 10 years, and that hasn't slowed down a bit at all. I think the numbers will probably back that up. I don't necessarily know what the numbers are, but I'm pretty sure the numbers probably back it up.
But granted, but he's not just a one-man show. There's more to it. There's you. There's
we have
Jimmy now.
Jimmy's different. Playoff Jimmy. We just spoke about him, but we also have a coach that make the game beautiful. The system that he's implemented here over the last 10 years was unlike one we had ever seen before in this league. It was kind of a mixture of some greats that he played for, watched for years, and his own twist. And so I think, it's definitely not just one person. But we're not going to fool ourselves and act like it's the same without that one person either. He's a driving force to it for sure.
When you guys talk about playoff Jimmy, people think about offense a lot. But did you see like an extra intensity or extra level on defense from him tonight and just
I've seen it the last few nights, where he's just turned it up completely on both sides of the ball. I don't want to give him some crap about missing 6 free throws, but, he's just, I don't know, man. I think what's great is that everyone else is adjusting to it because he's way more aggressive to score. He hadn't yelled at anybody all since he's been here. He's like yelling at guys now. Like it's a totally different person. But I think the way guys are adjusting to it is beautiful. So we got to make sure we keep doing that. But it's a completely different person.
Draymond, you said last Sunday that the team needed to play with more grit. Would tonight's play be your definition of that?
We got loose balls tonight. Still a few we can come up with. We're going to nitpick and definitely going to nitpick. So there's still a few that we could, come up with, but have to get loose balls in these games. They just change the momentum, changes the game. So I think we did play with more physicality tonight. It showed quite a bit. They had 20 turnovers. You don't cause 20 turnovers now with no physicality.
I mean, you down the stretch there did get a little tight, and you needed some scoring, and you had fouled out. and Steph scored the final 10 points. And then not a shocking thing. You've seen it before. But was that special to see one more time? Just at the end?
It was even more special for me to see because when I shot that three in the corner, he very nicely told me that it wasn't time for me to shoot. He came over to me, he said, hey, man, we got to get into a certain action that we call and we like to run. I was like, all right, no problem. Like, that was a very nice way of telling me don't shoot right now. No problem. I got him the ball the next play, hit the three. Jimmy got him the ball the following play, hit the three, or vice versa. It was one way or the other. Maybe Jimmy, then me, but whatever. But it was great. But I want to mention something that I saw today that no one will give a shit about. Sorry. Trayce Jackson-Davis did something on the bench today. He didn't play in the game. There was no seats left on the bench. Quentin Post said, Trayce, can I get that seat? And Trayce just got up. And a part of me was baffled that he got up for the rookie, because the rookie, if there's no seat, you sit on the floor. He just got up and gave him the seat. And I walked over to him and I said, that's one of the most selfless things I've ever seen a teammate do, because 99% of the time, you're going to be like, you going to go sit on the floor, Rook, or go find a seat somewhere else? But he knew he wasn't part of the rotation. And yet the rookie was. They're playing the same position. And he got up and just went, he literally got up and went and stood in the tunnel because there were no seats. And so I just wanted to put that out there, because that, to me, like, that's why you win games. It's chemistry, it's selflessness, it's togetherness. And I just thought that was a huge moment. And nobody else saw it except us three. And so I wanted to share that because I thought that was a really big moment for our bench, that, you know, you can make him sit on the floor and nothing happens. Or you can get up and boost confidence in him and he go back out there and hit a three. And I thought that was special.
Draymond, for you guys to get a 5-second violation like that, I mean, what can that do? 5 seconds left, they can't even get the ball in bounds. I mean, does that give guys, you weren't on the floor, but gives guys confidence that, hey, we can pull off any kind of stop?
Yeah, I thought that was a huge play. Guys, right there, you don't want to get detached from guys and allow them to tee up a three in that situation, so you got to stay attached, and thought everybody did a great job taking their guy away. Was a little shocked that Santi was taking the ball out, but we'll take it. It was good for us, so it worked.
Draymond, what's Jimmy been yelling about?
Everything. Guys take a bad shot. Guys don't get loose balls. He go a couple possessions without touching the ball. He's going crazy right now. I have to get the ball. I have to touch the ball. And so it's been interesting to watch the shift. As someone who's been in a million playoff series, very interesting to watch the shift. I'm enjoying it.
You guys seem to know that they were going to put Edey on him to start the game.
Team's been trying stuff like that, and they always try funky things against us. And so it was kind of expected because they just always do stuff like that when they play against us. And so I didn't think they put Jaren on him because they'd be worried about Jaren getting in foul trouble. But I knew that they want to put size on him. You can't put Jai on him. You can't put Bane on him. You can't put Scotty on him. I mean, we thought, there was. I didn't think they would make a substitution to match somebody over Jimmy. So the obvious person left is Zach. And Jimmy played well.
You kind of hinted at it in your last answer about like him turning up the scoring aggression. Had you been, wanting him to do it more? Like, was any part of you like kind of like, where is it? Where is it? Or
I definitely have been wanting him to do it more, but I wasn't worried at all or going to press for it because I'm in year 13. I think Jimmy's in year 14. He has a way about him. And you learn not to mess with God's process. I think we all have our process. I have my process. And you just learn, like, not to mess with a God process. Like, he goes about things a certain way. I think that's the beauty of this place. Nobody's going to be like, yo, you need to do more of this or this. Nah, we're going to, like, that's what you do. That's what you do. It's on us to figure everything else out. And so, no, I don't think, only Buddy said something, but it's Buddy. Buddy don't know no better. So, all of us was just like, he'll be more aggressive when it's time to be aggressive. And I think that's 2 games in a row. He shot 20 shots, right? It's impressive.
What did you see from John Morant, especially after he came back in the third or fourth quarter after he kind of hurt himself? Any difference for you, or
the dog that always is Ja? I think he may struggle to play in the game Friday. He just came back tonight off straight adrenaline. But that's who he is. That's why this franchise has been in the position that they've been in over the last few years, and you're kind of like, man, they may make a run. Because Ja is special. He's one of the more special players in this league and has the heart of a lion. And so I wasn't surprised at all. That's who he's been. That's who he's going to be. His saying is, I'm going to run up the chimney. And he lived by that. And, I respect it because he never not run up the chimney.
Steve said tomorrow is one of his favorite days of the year, just in terms of he and the coaches get together and scout for a series. What is your preparation process like, mentally, physically, scouting ahead of a series?
Tomorrow I'll get away from it for me, which is why I tell you I don't want to coach. But I was just telling the guys downstairs, like, the only thing I was thinking about earlier today was like, man, I just want the opportunity to go through that first film session that we go through to start every series. It's like no other, and I've been looking forward to that. It's just a different level of preparation that it's impossible to get in the NBA. There's just way too many games, but you get to that playoff series and the level of preparation is so different. So I'm looking forward to not tomorrow, but the following day. He can have tomorrow, but that preparation and getting ready for a team that you got to see possibly 7 times in a row is so fun. It's like no other.
Kuminga's had some good games against Houston this year. He's obviously taken 2 DMPs the last 2. How have you seen him handle that, and how much do you still expect him to possibly contribute?
He'll contribute. He's great. He's getting his work in. That's all you can do in that situation is get your work in. And he'll be meaningful for us in that series. I have zero doubt about that. I think the challenge for him is to stay mentally engaged, as is for anyone in that situation. But I have zero doubt in my mind that he's going to help us in this series. He will 1,000%.
The goal for weeks has been to make a playoff series. Obviously, get past the winless record and the play-in to do so. Just how significant is that, and just within the arc of the season to make a playoff series at this point?
I don't know exactly what point in the year it was when we were below 500, and after a 12-3 start, an emotional roller coaster of the season, for us to be able to, climb our way back into relevancy, and then, trick off a couple opportunities to get it done within the 82. It just came down to having one game where we just get a win, however we could, and thankfully it happened. And now with some clarity on who we're playing in the playoff series, great Houston team that's had an amazing year. For us, like, just a sense of relief that we have something to look forward to now, and I'm excited about the challenge.
Steph, as one who's won championships in many playoff series, where did this play in victory rank in your career?
I'll put it this way, Mike Dunleavy in the locker room had the game ball, and after Coach did his thing, Mike interrupted and was like, I got the game ball here, 4 championships. And he threw it to Steve and said, this is your first play-in game win. So that, obviously you got to have some fun with it. It's done well for the league, obviously, keeping some interest and some drama down the stretch of the season. And for us to finally get on the other side of it and live to play hopefully a solid 7-game series, it's exciting.
Jimmy's called you Batman about 4 times tonight.
What?
Yeah, he's on interviews on TV, on the podium. He's calling you Batman and him Robin. Has he done that to you?
No, that's why I said, well, I hadn't heard that one yet.
38 from him tonight. I know, there was some talk maybe in the kind of the weeks leading up to this past week about him, does he need to amp up his scoring aggression? Did you ever push him to, or did you know it was coming? Did you ever want it to come sooner?
There's been a few games, here and there sporadically where he has been a little bit more aggressive looking for a shot. He's obviously been getting to the free throw line, and I think it's obviously the sense of urgency of like winning games that matter down the stretch. But I never doubted it was coming. It's just he always has a sense of pride on like playing the right way and whatever the game calls for. And I think he kind of understood that he's been here before. He understands the nerves and the adrenaline and the expectations, and none of that rattles him. It's just he plays basketball at a high level, so that's what's coming out. I don't think it's it's predetermined that he's being aggressive, but it's just because of the moment. And so we definitely needed every one of them. And you could tell he's a dog and a winner and loves these type of environments, and it brings the best out of him.
Steph, over here, you've played a lot, obviously, with GP over the years. Why do you guys mesh so well together, and how instrumental can he be in the playoffs, as he was at times in 22 and as he obviously was tonight, beyond just his defense?
Well, you have to start with his defense because that's the way he can change a game with his ball pressure, just his knack for the ball. And then offensively, it's no secret. Like, they're going to play off of him, force him to knock down shots. He's not afraid of taking them. He can knock them down. He's great in the pocket, getting to the basket. He just knows how to play basketball, and if he doesn't have a shot, he's swinging it and, setting great pin and screens for me, just always in the right spot, and he uses his athleticism to his advantage. So if they put bigger guys on him, he takes advantage of it, and he's a savvy veteran that way, and he's always made an impact. And me and him have a great chemistry because you got to give up something.
Draymond said he's really looking forward to that first film session ahead of the series. What is that first film session like ahead of a playoff series with Steve?
It is just attention to detail. You really just flip the book on Houston and their patterns, and you want to truly understand, hopefully them better than they know themselves kind of vibe, and just be as prepared as possible. It's fun because you have everybody locked in on what we enjoy about a playoff series is just one opponent, and it's the chess match from before the first game, and then in between every game. It's just trying to find the subtle changes or game plan discipline that can help you just win 4 games. And so it's been we missed the playoffs last year, and the year before that, Sacramento and LA. It's just it reminds you just how much fun the playoffs are, and that chess match that goes back and forth. And so sitting down that first film session gets the juices flowing.
Steph, kind of building on that, how much has your appreciation grown for making the playoffs now at this point in your career compared to earlier on when you guys began the championship run? How do you look at it differently now through your lens?
Well, it's easy to not take it for granted because we weren't there last year. So, from 2013 to 19, we made, obviously, the finals runs and all that, but we were in the playoffs every year. Had that 2-year stretch where we missed it, and then 22 came around. And I think it's just a reminder that it's not guaranteed. I don't care how talented you are. You look around the league, you could argue more talented teams than we have that are on the outside looking in. So you appreciate the moments. That's why we've been talking this game for the last 2 months since the trade deadline, how much how important it is to play meaningful games, and now we have a series that's going to be full of meaningful ones.
Ime Udoka was pretty clear during the last time they played you that they kind of wanted to physically, I guess, beat the entire team up, but clearly you're kind of at the head of that game plan. How much of that do you expect in this series, and I guess how much of that noise did you kind of absorb in the aftermath of that Rockets loss?
Honestly, didn't hear nothing afterwards. I just know we were talking on the court and all that, but they are the number 2 seed for a reason. They've played well all year long. They play a certain, physical style of defense, and they're super athletic. So that's the beauty of the playoffs. Like, you get to take a second and kind of understand what they do well and how we're going to try to counter that and how we can try to make them uncomfortable. And, it's all eyes on them. So we're excited for the challenge. I was just telling Draymond, it's wild. We've been in playoff series in Houston for a decade. Like, it's crazy to think about. I know this is a brand new version of the Rockets team, but we're excited for the challenge.
Steph, as you get older, people look for signs of deterioration or whatever you want to call it.
That's a strong word.
Yeah, it is. I was trying to think of a softer one, but where are you right now? How do you feel right now? Are you just as good as the old Steph going into the playoffs? Are you beat up? Are you slower but smarter?
Everybody's dealing with something at this stage. I don't feel like I'm slowing down at all. It's just, the maintenance and the build-up game to game is a little different than it used to be, but I can still get to that level that you're seeing night in, night out. So you have to accept the fact that we talked about getting as much rest as possible and how important game 82 was, and we didn't get it done, how important the night was to have, 5 days to, get ready for a playoff series. So I'm going to take full advantage of that for sure. Just to get, refreshed and rejuvenated and try to get as healthy as possible before we start, hopefully, a 2-month journey.
Been more than a decade that Draymond's been centering lineups for you guys, obviously a lineup that you've leaned on in making this run. Just how would you contextualize the responsibility he wields in that spot and the advantages that it still continues to create for you guys?
I mean, from the original small ball death lineup thing and just him being able to play bigger than his stature, make his presence felt, be our quarterback on defense. It allows us to play faster on offense. He's a great playmaker on offense too. And so it just gives teams, fits because he just knows how to make plays and be in the right spot. He loves that challenge. And so this team specifically, probably more than any other team, like, we have to play that way. That's gonna be a huge part of our identity if we're gonna win in the playoffs. And we expect him to keep doing what he's doing because I know he loves making his presence felt and changing the game on the defensive end.
Steph, Draymond said that a lot of nicknames in the NBA are bogus, but that playoff Jimmy is a real thing. Would you agree with him? And what do you think it's going to be like going into the playoffs with playoff Jimmy, something you haven't done before?
I mean, we've all watched it. Like, he was on the Eastern Conference and we on the West. We never got to play against playoff Jimmy, but the idea of just he raises his level based on or at the right time when it's needed the most, and that's why the trade made so much sense for us, because he has that experience, he has that resume, and he proved it. He's proven it since he's been here, but in these last 2 games, you can see a different level of intentionality, and especially just scoring the basketball, because teams are trying to take away some of our pet actions. At the end of the day, you just need somebody that can put the ball in the basket, and he knows how to do that. So we have to keep doing all of our parts, and playoff Jimmy will hopefully be a big unlock for us.
Steph, you talk about wanting to take full advantage of these next 4 days off. What does that look like for you, and how do you balance rest and recovery against preparing for Houston?
Well, preparation is resting for now, because we've been on a crazy run this last 2 months where every game has felt like a playoff game, and our schedule's been kind of crazy with road trips and all that. So take a day where you do absolutely nothing. Just get away from the game as far away as I can, be with my family, and then the preparation starts on Thursday, where it's more the mental part of it, like understanding what the roadmap looks like between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and what I need to do to get my body right, stay sharp on the court, not overdo it, and the experience will kind of come into play on making sure you're as prepared as possible mentally and physically to be ready to go. But tomorrow I plan on doing nothing that has to do with basketball.
Jimmy just said that maybe even before the trade happened, when he was talking maybe to you or to Mike or whoever, that he knew if he came here, this team would be in the playoffs. Did you know that at that moment? When did you know that this move was going to get you guys in the playoffs?
You never really know. From my standpoint, you have belief, like in your, you approach every day with the goal of, especially where we started when the trade happened, to get here, like knowing how long that road was going to be, how tough it was going to be. That first game in Chicago, everything felt pretty, natural, and there was a smooth transition of what our team looked like post-trade, and that was a great feeling. And then we just kind of kept that rolling. I forget what our record was at a certain point when both me and Jimmy, or when Jimmy played and when we had our quote-unquote full team. But, winning produces more confidence and more energy, and we've been riding that wave for the last 2 months, even when we've had some slip-ups. Like the San Antonio game, the Houston game, like nobody panicked. We knew we didn't play our best, but nobody was panicking or feeling like we didn't have what it takes to, it sounds crazy to be a 7 seed, but that seemed like a long way away 2 months ago.
Kerr said he didn't want to say it before, but that you were desperate. This team was desperate to win this just to get the time off. You knew what it would consequence. Maybe that explains maybe the shoot around, was not scheduled and it was scheduled. Just was there a focus there that was a little different on this one?
Yeah, we've had a pattern last 2 or 3 weeks. Kind of that question about what it looks like before Saturday or Sunday when we play, like the mental preparation of game plan, discipline, and like, me, Draymond, Jimmy, Loon, we've all been here, so we kind of understand it, but a lot of guys haven't. And throw GP in there, like a lot of guys haven't been here, and the physical demand is one thing, but the mental capacity to be able to lock into a game plan, trust that you're prepared and on the same page, no matter who you're out there on the floor with, that was there's a sense of urgency around that. So we gave ourselves, a good chance to do it in 82. Like I said, didn't happen. To get this one sealed up and have 5 days is big for us, and we got to take full advantage of it.
Steph, you said it, the last few have been intense. How does that kind of impact the series that's coming up against an aggressive Houston team, knowing that it's going to be intense from here on out?
I mean, just tap into the same energy. Like we know what to expect, and you're excited to embrace that challenge for sure. Every game, like I said, has felt like a playoff game for a long while now, and it'd be nice to kind of catch our breath and again kind of hit reset a little bit, but lean into that that competitiveness that we've tapped into since February, and we should be in good shape.
All right, that's it. Thank you.